So first up, we've got Pox versus tarekmak from the Challenger division.
Yes.
Anything you want to say about this before we get into the picks and bans?
Just that Pox is one of the best players in Challenger, and I just think it's awesome, the Swiss style that automatically makes matches more difficult and more challenging, hence the name Challenger, I guess, as the season goes on and they play each other. So the matchups get tougher and tougher. It's a great ramping up effect that makes for great drama.
Yeah.
All right, and speaking of drama, let's talk about the picks and the bans. So tarekmak starts out by banning Library any 5 of 8. Pox responds by banning Pub any 4 of 7. Kind of interesting bans. Yeah, I actually don't have much to say about this.
I'll be glad to add to it.
Yeah,
Pox has picked Library each of the last 2 weeks, doubled in week 8 against Dowsy, singled in week 7 against Waterhouse, and also 3 of the last 4 matchups they had, week 5 against Master Blaster as well. So Pox likes Library. tarekmak knows that. tarekmak says, I don't want you to play the map you like to pick.
Sounds good. And the picks are tarekmak's doubled pick is the classic Courtyard. Pox's doubled pick is Veranda, any 5 of 8. tarekmak picks for their final pick Balcony, any 2 of 3, and then Pox finishes off with Ballroom, any 4 of.
This makes perfect sense. Pox has picked Courtyard every single time that it wasn't either A, banned, or B, picked for him. So Pox, so Pox is perfectly happy with this, I guarantee. Again, if someone doesn't pick Courtyard and doesn't ban it, Pox picks it. So in this case, he gets the map he wants picked for him, which is why he picks something like Veranda instead. Makes perfect sense.
All right, perfect. Should we jump into the first match?
Sure.
All right.
Sounds
I
good.
have to remember how to do this. I've been off for a couple weeks. I'm very sad. I've missed some classic games here.
You're rusty. It's okay.
I'm a little rusty, so please bear with me with the casting. Clicking buttons is hard.
And the thing?
Clicking buttons and moving the things around is difficult.
Let's make it clear to everyone. Pushing a button is obviously easy, but when you have many buttons...
Oh, I have so many buttons right now. We should
That's a little different.
Do like the behind the scenes. All right, there we go. All right.
I imagine it just looks like a soundboard, in a recording studio, and there's just dials everywhere.
No, it's more like random Xbox One controllers, a copy of Westworld on Blu-ray, some screwdrivers, and a box of Wheat Thins.
A box of Wheat Thins. That's
right.
perfect capper.
Man after my own heart.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into this match between Pox and tarekmak, starting things off on Courtyard with Pox on the Sniper. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Now, I like to talk a lot about whether or not Courtyard is actually good for certain players, or if they just pick it because it's comfy. And that's particularly valid if you're worried about nerves. Maybe you'll say, I'm okay with a split on Courtyard. The main thing is I just want to ease into this game.
Yeah. Early seduce at the windows from the first one, so that's a nice little pickup for 34% off the top. Another window flirt. Another white test up to 68 really fast.
Yeah, it is, and not a huge risk of being flirt paired. Not really clear how much it would matter anyway, because you only need one more.
Not in range for the bug here. Could twitch into range, but being watched fairly closely, so probably not going to happen.
So one of the big decisions here is, do you go to statues before you finish your 2 Softails? Do you do BB before Seduce is done? And so on.
Banana bread.
Oh, fake contact comes off. It looks like the double agent left at a bad time, but the bug on the way out of the conversation with the contact to cover. That's the hard tell done with no highlight.
I think so. I wonder. We say this sometimes. I love to say this, Tobo. That if someone is a huge suspect, you don't even bother with the lights, especially if you're trying to obscure things later in the match. I think there's a really good chance that Pox has caught this, but we'll see. By the way, Rocker split from a DA conversation just afterwards. I don't think it was a frame attempt. Obviously, it was to cover for the bug, but could be suspicious as a result.
Rote statue highlight comes off as we get one inspect. Not able to get the second one, importantly.
Boy, that's a big deal.
Yeah. Go statue to statue, though. This is a good way of not really getting extra suspicion for the second stat. Oh!
Oh boy.
just tried to swap and get away with it, but the laser came just far enough around to see the statue there. And tarekmak is going to take a bullet for what looked like it might have been his game.
It's hard to say. What I really hate about that is not the decision so much, is that now we really don't know how cagey Pox was being, whether or not it was caught, whether or not it was waiting for an excuse to shoot at the end. Obviously, if you can make them think you shot them for a late flirt or something, and make them think they got away with the bug, or at least cause them to wonder, that's better. But in this case, we'll never know, because at that point, you see the swap, and you got to shoot anyway.
Yeah. Wow, the bug wasn't that bad either. It was a little bit weird looking if you were looking at it, but...
Well, like so many bugs, yeah, if you're looking at it, it's not that good, and if you're not, and that's the whole point of the BB bug, is that they're not going to be looking, potentially. But there weren't that many lowlights to get for it. So in that sense, probably not a great decision. Usually, those are actually more effective when they're bad banana breads, when there's a lot of lowlights and the sniper is excited to go get as many as possible. When there's just one or two, they could possibly just remember, and they don't have to take their eyes off the ambassador.
Didn't wind up mattering either way as Pox steps into the spy side. tarekmak on the sniper. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
It's really funny, but you kind of need the banana bread to be bad to cover for stuff like that sometimes. That's the trade you actually have to make.
Indeed. Lots of bouncing off the top. Winds up in conversation with the seduction target at a slight distance here.
Yeah, but good enough to flirt, I think.
Very patient off of that first flirt. Hits a green test up to 42%.
Yeah, I don't know if you needed the green test, but now it's perfectly fine. It doesn't matter that you're across at all. You're not going to two-flirt, you weren't going to anyway, and you probably don't need to.
It doesn't matter if you need a green test. A green test is a green test. We take those.
You take them. Feels good anyway.
This is true. And it gives him more options moving forward.
Yeah, so every now and then, this doesn't happen very often, but every now and then, if you're already a huge suspect and they're looking for a reason to shoot for a final flirt and you have the option to stand across from someone and finish, it doesn't happen much, but maybe every 50 or 60 games that can come into play.
A little bit of a chase on the seduction target here as she left the conversation we were trying to get into with her, but now we have a situation where, well, nope, never mind, Queen just took our... Oh, come on! Really?
Pox is chasing a little too much here, and that path was not much of an AI path there. It was pretty meandering.
Yeah.
I don't think either player, between the window flirts and that, neither player is all that worried about being paired.
Just barely got in time. Another green test, 93% is the current count.
You need to flow with the party. When the ST doesn't want to be seduced this early, maybe you just go to statues early. Maybe you go get your banana bread instead. You know, take what it gives you to some degree.
The problem right here is we only have 1:10 left and no completions. There's the contact coming off, so that'll get us something.
It's going to knock out 3 people, including a statue highlight.
Well, could be worse. Could be better, to be certain, though. Stepping back in for the last flirt at a nice, comfortable distance, but we haven't been to statues yet. And by the time this flirt gets done, we'll only have 45 seconds left on the clock. Might be able to get a bug on the way out here. There it is! Bug not taken! The path was there. The cover was there, just didn't right-click.
Decent cover, and not only that, but Duke, a highlight, was leaning in to take a drink. It was actually a pretty darn good time, better than you could normally hope for. tarekmak seemed very interested in that possible purloin.
Has to go for the inspect swap off the end. It was on camera quite clearly, but hasn't taken the shot, and Pox is somehow going to find the win anyways.
It really, really looks like he's, I don't know, baiting some sort of bug, or I think he's maybe baiting a purloin across the way. It doesn't really make sense because the person next to the Amba is one of the lowlights, and the person who's receiving a drink offer is one of the cast. I'm not sure what he's doing with that rotation.
Yeah, it looked like he was trying to get a peek at the statue, but then didn't do anything about it.
Yeah, I don't know. At the very end, Duke looks like he's making a beeline for the ambassador. But by then he'd already seen the statue, so I really don't quite understand what happened there.
Either way, that's going to put Pox up by 2 as he steps back into the sniper side of things. tarekmak looking to get back into things on Courtyard in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Very, very strange there. Very strange.
Flirt at the windows to start things off for 34%.
I think what it really tells you is that you can have your highlights and your people who could be done, but sometimes you're really staring down one or two of those highlights a lot more than the others. And in this case, it really just seems like he was fixated on Morgan and Duke.
Absolutely. tarekmak stepping into conversation with the double agent, takes the contact here pretty early on. One big statue highlight goes down for it.
Yeah, that's pretty solid.
Purloin! It's a white test. This could be very bad. Gets low lit. Back up. But the list is now gone. There's the highlight coming off. I think this is really bad for tarekmak.
Now, at this point, if you have some sort of anecdote about your life that you'd like to tell for the next minute while we wait for Pox to wait for confirmation, you probably could do it if you wanted. This script kind of writes itself probably the rest of the way. I'll be very surprised if tarekmak gets away with it.
Yeah.
But Pox, again, not rushing the shot, not positive, just waiting.
I would have loved to see him slip in between Morgan Freeman and Seek there. See if he can maybe get a reverse drive-by on the Ambassador. That's the only way I see him winning this. Some really slick bug coming off and then finishing up the flirt.
Yeah, you really need, basically, you need to hope that Pox is unsure about that fade, unsure about when it happened, and just starts to second-guess themselves, and that whoever they decide could have done it instead also acts very suspicious. It's a lot to hope for.
Second flirt comes off, and even though we were in that position I wanted for the reverse drive-by bug, doesn't wind up going in the right direction for it, and we've already had a safety off on tarekmak, so
yeah,
I think this is done and dusted.
Yep. And here we go.
Yeah.
Yep. You could have told us a story. I'm telling you, you had time. There was nothing else was gonna happen there. White Purloin.
Yeah.
Yep. The quick story is I was gonna go grocery shopping, but then I took a nap instead.
There we go.
That's life in your 30s. All right.
Yeah. White Purloin, the two-word summary of most courtyard games.
This is very true. But
there's actually one thing I do want to point out. The highlight on tarekmak I thought was amazing. So
Smooth.
like a lot of time, yeah, like if you just watch the sniper's movement, it was like just perfect.
Yep.
Like I'm very curious if tarekmak knew they were highlight or not, because that was just such a smooth motion. Because as spy, you can usually kind of figure out like, oh, the laser rested on me for that half a second, right? I'm probably marked one way or another.
Yeah, it was very smooth. In most, I would say that's one scenario where it matters less, because when you white Purloin, you just sort of assume that you're, suspect number one. You're on the sniper's most wanted list. But it is a good skill to have, particularly for situations where the spy might not even realize their highlight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, just my 2 cents. Back to you with the weather.
Now, Pox has pulled off the first 3 games straight of this match. tarekmak, on the sniper side, needs this win to stop himself from getting swept on what I believe was his own map in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
I mentioned Pox would be happy to let someone else pick courtyard, and that's been exactly the case so far, guaranteed at least a 3-1 win on it. But I don't think we're getting a real good sense of play level here.
Very early contact. There's a very good chance that was supposed to be a seduce. Gets highlight for his troubles as well.
tarekmak is on this. He's drawn some really strong, solid conclusions already.
Yeah, not much in the way of lowlights, but very powerful work from tarekmak. Pox does get a flirt out of the deal as well, but tarekmak has a very strong start on the sniper side.
Some very misleading results so far, though. 3-0 obviously very good, but you remember there's a swap basically right in the sniper's face that he gets away with. There's the bug in the swap in the first game, where maybe the bug was caught, maybe it wasn't, and then a white Purloin, which is about as easy as you can get a sniper. So I don't feel like Pox has really been tested yet.
This is true. There's the second flirt coming off, brings us up to 66, which is just fine, because the best you can do on a close white flirt is 34%, which means we are, in fact, just in range for a 3 flirt.
Pox has no reason to think that that flirt was suspicious, but we know that it kind of was because of those highlights. Very easy to maybe pair them here on a map where you're not usually pairing flirts.
That's true, but there was somebody in between.
Yes, that helps a little bit for sure. It also helps that Morgan went to statues right afterwards.
It does indeed. Pox, in a bit of a difficult situation here, goes for a briefcase for the first fingerprint. Now we just gotta wait for the ambassador to put his hands on some stuff.
Probably will eventually, yeah. I'm always intrigued by whether or not someone goes for the briefcase, first of all, at all, but second of all, first or second for the fingerprints.
Oh boy, we got a window flirt, so even though that's finishing up that mission, that is one of the more suspicious flirts you can get.
Yeah, and with all the stuff we've seen this game, we're just seeing neither player really giving me either any respect on flirt pairing so far. They're being very aggressive about it.
Yeah.
Oh, that Papa Danger path by the ambassador. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but Pox did one too.
Yeah.
Oh, safety off on Papa Danger for a second there. This is big for Pox. He might be able to find a way through here, and that would put tarekmak down by 4.
But I don't
Pox
think he knows.
into the statues himself.
I don't think Pox has any idea that he's this close to shooting Papa Danger, and he could ruin it right here if he swaps or something.
tarekmak he hasn't even seen Pox. Now sees him stepping away from the statue that has been hit with the green swap. This is gonna hang at 0, and it's gonna be bad.
He saw him leave way too quick. He did not get out quick enough to do the bail and not be seen. He was there long enough that he saw him leave too fast.
No! He was hanging at 0!
He messed it up. He just straight messed it up. He had it. That went back and forth. The seesaw of this game from Pox is an early suspect to I'm going to shoot Morgan Freeman for a bug path, and then he just holds off on the shot long enough for Pox to go and do something, which is the inspect swap. Pox becomes the top suspect immediately based on that quick leave, and then I think tarekmak maybe just didn't react to the flashing 0 right. You know, we've seen this before. We know a lot of the rules of overtime, and I assume tarekmak probably does too, even though they're a newer player. The better players in Challenger have absorbed the rules very quickly. But even when you know those overtime beeps, the pending clock, it can force people to do rash things that they normally wouldn't do out of stress.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's
that
rough.
That one hurt me, Track.
Now, it's hard to say. There could be other things we're not seeing here, but it sure seems like sort of a rushed, hurried shot based on the stress of the situation there. I am guilty
of... tarekmak had that.
Yeah, I think so too. And yeah, it just looked, well, at first it looked like he was in huge trouble, and then it looked like he had it, and then he lost it anyway. Yeah. That's SpyParty for you. And, you know, just to be clear, we're not coming down hard at anyone for this stuff. We've all taken our share of shots in overtime that in retrospect.
Oh, God, yes.
Those shots where you shoot them and you go, wait a second, they didn't even do anything. Like, what? They're just there. They made the mistake of just being on my screen while I was freaking out. We've all done it. And as soon as it ends, you think clearly again, and you think, why on earth am I shooting this person? But in the moment, it's so hard.
And that puts Pox up by 4 off of the first map, and now we're heading into his pick. So tarekmak is going to have to make some big strides on the comeback here. Let's see if he can start things off on the Spy side of Veranda. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
I mentioned it 3-0 that it didn't feel like Pox had really been tested yet, and I still feel that way. I feel like Pox is up 4-0, and they haven't played badly, but I don't think they've had to play that well yet.
Yeah, I agree. 34% on that first flirt from tarekmak, playing things very much by the book.
Yeah, the first page of that book says, find your seduction target and get cozy.
That's the whole of chapter 1.
Chapter 1. And maybe chapter 2 is, and if you want to just wait like 40 seconds, sometimes that's okay too. And do it again. Yeah, chapter 2 is maybe a second flirt.
That's like the footnote in chapter 1. A pretty little reverse drive-by bug gets tarekmak another mission for basically for free.
Yeah, I'm not sure that was seen. I think we might be good here. It's Veranda after all. There's a lot to look at.
Usually, when the ambassador's in motion, he is considered to be relatively safe. tarekmak picks up his second flirt while he's here. This one a green test up to 85%. and he is being very stationary and still getting a lot done. That is exactly what you want as a spy.
It is, but if the DA doesn't join, you're going to have to go make stuff happen pretty soon. For me, when I get away with a bug like that, or I think I've gotten away with it, and I'm most of the way done with the flirt, or even completely done, the big decision...
Oh my God! It's a green purloin! It still hasn't moved!
And I think Pox was kind of zoomed in a little bit on the right there to get that statue highlight and take a look at the other side of the party. It's entirely possible it wasn't seen. If I'm at this point, though, I'm thinking right now, I'm deciding right now, am I going to statues at all this game? If I am, yeah. If I am, get the first visit in now. If I'm not, start planning what I'm going to do instead.
There's the last flirt, just standing in that conversation. Purloin has come off. There's the contact. That's 4 missions done. We haven't moved, and we have 2 minutes left. This is incredible.
Unfortunately, there are literally no other missions where you can do without moving. It's not possible. Must do something else.
2 drink fingerprints.
2 drink fingerprints. It is technically possible, but I wouldn't bet on it. I wouldn't bet on it. That's asking a bit much. I think a swap here is more powerful than inspects, but I'm not sure.
Well, gets highlight for the first one. I don't think he's going to get shot just for a second statue visit. I don't think there's a way, but he takes the green swap! What a game from tarekmak this has been!
Let's see. Now, this is a big moment. This is a risk. This is a risk, but I kind of like it. It's just early enough that I like it. A lot of lowlights came off, though, for that purloin. But not the actual purloiner. Alice tarekmak hightails it to the other end of the map.
He's just hiding as best as he can.
Yes.
There's the swap coming off.
There's nothing subtle about this. Just about to see it now. A lowlight does it.
No! Pox is on him!
Oh, no!
Pox is on him! Are you kidding me?
Oh, goodness. You know, I don't mind the decision that much. I think I might have preferred a white, actually, to a green. Greens are actually worse in these kind of situations. You give them too much time to collect their thoughts. Maybe just a little greedy after getting 4 missions done and getting all 5 done within a 10 square foot radius.
Man, you were saying that Pox hadn't been tested yet? He got tested hard right there, and he passed with flying colors.
Yeah, had really good presence of mind there. tarekmak playing just a ridiculous game. I think you're probably right about the inspects. If you're going to swap there, I'd prefer white because it's about 20 seconds earlier, and it's so much more likely the sniper's going to take a moment and try to figure out if that's the person who could have done, you know, the white swap or the green swap or whatever. And that little hesitation is all you need because they're not going to guess that's your last mission with 1:35 left.
Yeah.
Or at least they're probably not going to. Also, it doesn't appear to have been a big purloin suspect. So I think I like white swap there or hurry up and do that second inspect like you mentioned. It's suspicious, but it's still hard to shoot for.
Oh boy. Scoreline 5-0. Pox stepping into the spy side of Veranda after a huge sniper win. tarekmak needs to start making things happen in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
That reminds me of a classic game that KCM played against Virafo. I'll have to tell you once this match is over because it's so emblematic of this game and it reminded me of it. One of the first things I think I remember reading when I joined the beta.
We've gotten our first 51% flirt of the night, as well as an attempted drive-by bug that didn't take. So it was basically free. Hand went right into the seduction target directly away from the camera, but didn't wind up taking, so we still don't have any completions as of yet as we step into the statues to pick up our first inspect and our highlight. Because
statue highlights are so ubiquitous on Veranda, it's really interesting and telling about what a spy plans to do when they go to statues early like this. It kind of maps the trajectory of their game in a lot of ways.
Ooh, interesting little path through the conversation. Just weird enough to be considered AI-like. I don't know if it actually was or not, because I'm not that good at this game. But...
Nobody is. Oh, boy.
Oh, that's another reverse drive-by bug attempt, and that one was not pretty. But he's not dead yet, so there's that.
Yeah, that path was just that's the perfect example of the, okay, I'm either a huge suspect or I'm low-lit kind of path.
Yeah. Oh boy. All right. Sitting at green bookcase now. Pulls out that green book. So
I think you do want to do action tests there because you have that full conversation right in front of you, and that green bookcase is pretty much blocked when that's the case.
And we've already been to statue, so it's pretty easy to guess we've been highlighted at this point. Bit of a
Right.
weird path into this conversation, but that's not the kind of thing that's going to get caught by most people on a map this big. Another green test on the flirt to finish that mission up. And that's our first completion with 2 minutes left to play. We do have 2 inspects and a green book in hand, but a little bit behind the clock.
Yeah, kind of funny. Pox has been back and forth across the map twice and has 1 mission done, and tarekmak's thinking, come on, you don't have to move nearly that much. I got 4 done in 1 conversation.
You're not wrong. Walking just takes so much time.
It really does, yeah.
What's the book away? Oh! Tried for a bug! I'm astounded that didn't take, but takes a shot for it anyways.
3rd try is your doom, apparently. 3rd bug attempt, none of them take, and 1 of them leads to a bullet.
You think that was the bug that got him shot, or just the transfer?
Yeah, I honestly don't know, but I just know that it just keeps happening. And that's got to be frustrating. You know, obviously, maybe you're going to lose that game anyway, but to try bugs that often and have none of them take, it can be a little demoralizing. Or at least it would be if you didn't have a massive lead.
Yeah. So, I need to close my window because someone's fireworks in.
They're still going off over here, too. You know, they say a journey of 1,000 miles.
Canada, there's no reason for people to be fireworksing.
Any excuse.
It's
Any excuse.
The 1 week ago was Canada Day. Happy Canada Day.
You know, you probably have a few Americans up there, you know, living in Canada.
Happy
There's
Canada
probably-
Day.
Thank you.
Yes.
So that bug was actually, like, if you look at it from the sniper view, was pretty hard to see.
Yeah, it was just a little bit
especially
of a
because Tarek kind of pops a little bit to the right, almost blocking it, but it just, you know, takes the shot anyway. Anyway, just a little thing I'd point out there.
Cool. Yeah, it is good. It's pretty good there. And by the way, fireworks started going off here just when you mentioned that, Tobo.
Oh, perfect.
Like, almost to the moment. So
I apologize.
You all right
That's
over
okay.
there?
Yep, I'm not as good at water as I thought I was.
Oh no.
He's only been drinking it his entire life, though, so don't worry
That's
about
right.
it. There's still time to get better.
Yeah, that's right. You know.
Yeah. All right.
On to the next
Well,
one.
Tarekmak
This is
now
going to be a
on the
cast. I can
board.
already tell.
Tarekmak is now on the board. Pox with a little bit of a weird game on Spy. Gonna see if he can bounce back on the sniper side, but Tarekmak really needs these. Let's see if he can get another one here. In 3, 2, 1, play.
There's no good way to come back down 5-0. You just have to win the next game.
Yeah.
And then you have to win the next game. And that is your game plan the whole rest of the way, is to win the next game. It's a start.
Yeah.
And sometimes we see these comebacks not for like reasons of, you know, grit or choking or any whatever psychological sports narratives you want to introduce. Sometimes it's literally just the kind of YOLO effect as Spy of saying, well,
Yeah.
might as well try something. And that aggression very often pays off. It goes to show that your average Spy, even a good Spy, is still too timid. The perfect balance of aggression and timidity is actually usually more aggressive than most of us want to be in competitive play.
Just look at Crazy Kaylee.
Yeah. Just do
All
stuff,
right.
man.
Well, we've got our first flirt, another early close green for 51%. But Tarekmak is really taking his time here.
He's probably sitting there thinking, why aren't the missions coming to me? This isn't how it's supposed to work.
Yeah.
I have to move? What?
Oh, man.
You wouldn't want to try a reverse drive-by from this position anyway, though.
No, you really would not. 85% after the second flirt. He and his seduction target step away at basically the exact same time.
And the Amba leaves a statue print there. Interesting choice coming up.
Yeah, doesn't wait for the ambassador to step away before going to the statue next to her, so Pilot, possibly for just a statue visit, possibly for a possible bug. But does get a pair of inspects out of the deal, but no fingerprint.
Unless you're
anyways.
specifically trying to avoid fingerprint because you think Pox is going to be on it, it seems easy enough to go to the window, wait 4 seconds, and get a print and the highlight and the statue inspects.
I agree.
So either specifically avoiding it, or probably a mistake.
Yeah.
And that's very plausible. It's very plausible that they're avoiding it. That they've concluded that Pox is going to catch that kind of thing. But I wouldn't bet on it, not on Veranda.
Yeah, I agree. I think probably it was just a slight misplay from tarekmak here, but in SpyParty, sometimes slight misplays are all it takes. And look at this, only 1 minute and 35 left to play and not a single completion yet.
That's kind of the thing. You can get away with not having a lot of completions if you have 2 or 3 partially completed and they can fall like dominoes at the end. And 1 fingerprint instead of none would go a long way to making something more viable here at the end. Now you're probably going to need a time ad, or you're trying to frame somebody, and I just don't get the sense that tarekmak is looking to frame this game.
What was that path?
I almost feel like that was, I'm going to bug the ambassador. No, they moved. No, I'm not gonna.
Oh, hello, ambassador. We can bug that, right? While he's doing banana bread stuff? Yeah, there's the bug. Oh, God. That laser swung around at a terrifying moment, but...
Yes. The bug should have happened about a second earlier because he was going to low-light Orange Sari at the far end and just totally looked over there instead.
Green Purloin happened as well. Now we're getting a fingerprint at the green bookcase. Wouldn't it be nice if we already had another one?
Yes, that would be huge.
Getting it from the though.
But I don't think the green bookcase fingerprint is being logged by Pox. Obviously, this is going to be noticed, but I don't think the other one was.
I think you say be damned with briefcase etiquette at that point. Just put it back down and get moving because we are out of time. Stepping in for his last inspect with 10 seconds to play.
He's totally staring down the ambassador. You're so worried about general bugging or someone like that. Oh my goodness.
He's not looking. Swap. He's getting out of there. The sniper's on the exact other end of the map, and he's not rotating. There's the overtime. No shot comes off, and tarekmak finds a second.
Completely tunneled on that side. And for a while, I thought it must have been the ambassador. But then the ambassador leaves, and he just stays. I think he must have just decided it's one of these people, maybe Teal or General, and was just totally focused on them. Wow.
All right. Wow, good stuff. After dropping the first 5 games in a row, tarekmak has pulled 2 back and is now on the sniper side of things with Pock stepping into the spy shoes on Veranda. This is the start of a comeback. This could happen.
It could. Let's see if it does.
In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Now think about this. That game where tarekmak got 4 missions done and went for that swap instead of the inspect, or went for the green swap rather. If they win that, they would be sniping for a tie right now.
Yeah, this is very true. A little bit of a twitch onto the pad for Pox, but does wind up getting in and getting the flirt for 34%. No time ads yet this entire match, by the way.
Very interesting. And this is a map conducive to them.
Yeah. Not in range for the bug, but you can't really tell that from the sniper side of things. Although he picked up the book fast enough that he probably couldn't have got a bug off anyways.
Yeah, rather quick.
Just innocently puts it back. That's an odd decision. Good briefcase cancel.
Yeah, basically no credit though. tarekmak doesn't seem to have even really been looking, because look at the party. Look at how imbalanced to the right side.
Yeah, this is it's rare for so many people to be on this side of the party. Usually it's swung the other way.
Absolutely, it's almost always the other way. So Pox doesn't really even get credit for the briefcase. Oh boy.
First time out of the game, and it's a red test.
But so many people over there.
Weird bug coming through, gets seen enough for a highlight. Lots of bad pathing going on here. This could be a good situation for tarekmak to get another.
Oh, that path at the end for this. This flirt is shameless. This is absolutely shameless. I think Pox is in big trouble here.
I think so too.
Even with the time ad. To do that flirt after the bug highlight, oh boy. It was just, the paths have not been good.
Yeah, this is a situation right now. We've still got 2 minutes and 50 seconds to play, but no completions, and that's just a bullet for stepping back into statues. tarekmak, 3-5. The comeback is on.
Boy, that earlier game is looming larger and larger. We could be tied now. It could have gone 4-0, 0-4, just like that, if not for that one game with that green swap that Pox caught. Oh, boy.
And now we're into balcony, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, this is the one where I get to do all the fun camera work.
Cinematographer Hummus.
Hey man,
Very
I
excited.
turned my camera on.
Hey, there we go. Excellent
Tarek-
reference.
tarekmak starting on
That's
the
the way I get
spy
by.
side. Hawks on the sniper on balcony. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
I don't know, Hummus. Would you say this balcony looks like it's in Chicago at night?
The rest of the cast can't be us making
I
spoon
know.
references.
No, it'll have to stop. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I mean, it totally can be.
Yeah.
No flirts yet out of tarekmak, really taking his time on this first talk here and avoiding the early talk highlights, but the seduction target being a little bit weird and moving as far away from him as possible. Refuses to hit the red test flirt to get out of conversation.
I mean, look, it's still a talk, right? There's still a risk
Yeah.
associated with it, and sandwiched between two people. Ooh.
That was...
I don't see any briefcase-related things that would get you any kind of credit for that, Twitch.
Maybe it was just so weird a spy would never do it sort of a move?
Maybe.
We haven't done literally anything. We're a minute in.
Well, if there's one map where you can kind of make sense of that as a game plan, it's balcony. You can say, you know, I'm not going to try to finish. I'm just going to try not to be a suspect, and I'm going to hope that somebody looks like they could finish, because guess what? Usually that happens.
This is very true, but people are not staying in conversation. We haven't had a good chance for the contact yet. 30 seconds to play. Keep in mind, we don't even need the double agent in conversation for this, because if we're not planning on finishing anyways, the sniper doesn't know who the double agent is. Everybody get the heck in conversation, please.
If someone talks around 15 seconds, especially if they're already highlight. Oh, you have to.
Out of conversation, but we've sent it. Oh no, that was one of the longest white test contacts I have ever seen. And what? What is this?
Thinking about it. Oh my goodness.
If that white test comes off a moment sooner.
Maybe. The fact that he was considered shooting tarekmak for no flirts makes me think that Twitch was probably seen and had made them a huge suspect.
He hit that right click at 16.6.
And yep.
The fake banana bread came off at 10 exactly.
Yeah, you really need to be careful. That's going to happen sometimes, the 5 or 6 second delay. You need to do it a little earlier just to be safe.
Yeah, and actually, so I mean, if you look at the replay, Pox was hovering over General, which if General had completed, there wouldn't have been enough overtime to actually, make that reaction time because it happened. Actually, there would have been no overtime because the banana bread happened at 10.1. Unless General talked again, and that could have been a flirt.
Well, see, that's the thing. The talk happens right around the time of the banana bread, so he might have been a little worried that it was a quick green BB into a final flirt, and that the flirt itself was going to give him a second. That might have been what he was thinking.
Oh, that's...
Keep in mind, though, when you look at the clock, when a contact has come off, you don't get your eyes up there quite fast enough. So he may have thought he had like half a second. And in that case, what people will often do is they'll count down and try to shoot at like minus 0.2 or something like that.
Yep.
Right.
So I don't mind the decision. It almost worked, but tarekmak still the underdog.
Yep.
And now it's down to match point, and tarekmak, instead of fighting for a win, is fighting for a draw. Needs these next 3 games. Pox just needs one of them, as he now steps into the spy side of balcony in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Just like the good old days, just watching balcony, waiting for things to happen at one-time speed.
I realized at the end of the last game I could have fit everything hits at once reference in there, but it's a shame.
Oh, I've got a lot of them clocked.
It's yeah. The rest of the stream is just spoon references now. So
yeah.
Was set up in a pretty good position in the conversation for the seduction target to step in next to them, but it was a 50-50 shot, and we didn't get it. So, bit of a weird position for the seduction target here. No contact yet either. Pox looks like he's got a similar strategy to what tarekmak had.
I mean, I hope it's a strategy. Sometimes it's just, I don't want to do this. Balcony is terrifying, but I'm going to credit it as a strategy for the most part.
It's a green flirt, so...
Well, that's a lot more valuable 40 seconds earlier in the game. Now you kind of need it if you want to finish.
Yeah. I think probably that talk was just to give himself options and see if he did hit the green. He did wind up hitting it. Contact is now very much on the table now that everyone's actually in conversation.
Banana bread.
Does take it just as Pearl steps away and somehow takes a bullet from it. tarekmak is still in this.
Wow, he's still in it. tarekmak went to middle school, Pox saying, I didn't come here to die. Instead, he sees the light, and we still have a match.
Wow. Balcony is weird. I don't know how that happened, but it did. And now, tarekmak is one map away from securing a draw. If Pox can find either of these two games, he takes the win in the set, starting things off on the sniper side of Ballroom. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And I do have to point out, Hummus, that there is a Spoon song called, literally, The Guest List / The Execution.
Ah, you are right. Ooh.
Ooh, interesting little bug attempt on the way through. Another one on the turnaround. That one takes. tarekmak starts out fast.
I think it's clean, too. An assist from the pillar on that second one there. And the path just seemed so strange. It really didn't actually look like a bug path at the end.
No, it really didn't. That was a nice bug from tarekmak. And an early hardtail like that can pay dividends as he steps in for his first flirt.
So,
slight distance on it, but does hit a green to bring it up to 47%.
And at this point, if you're tarekmak, I really just think you have to proceed as if you got away with it and just make steady progress and just assume that if you play a nice, clean game, you're going to get the win. I like this decision here. I was just about to say, don't wait around for this timer flirt because you can't two-flirt it anyway. So go ahead, get your inspects done, go do something.
And it looks like something in this case might wind up being a purloin. It is on a white test. This could be bad, but hasn't seen it yet as Pox. Now there's the dip. Now he's seen it, but does he know who is there?
We have the guest list. How about the execution? Is he going to gulp? No.
No gulp. Playing it cool as tarekmak.
Guys, don't go for the purloin next to Smallman, because if he gets offered a drink next, they're going to get a nice clear view on Ballroom, where sometimes it can otherwise take 5 or 6 solid seconds.
So either Pox is pretty confident at this point and just isn't highlighting, or has absolutely no idea and tarekmak is completely in the clear.
Yeah, it's funny how it's always one thing or this extreme opposite, right? Either they're not highlighting because they don't know, or they're not highlighting because they do.
Oh boy. Stepping in for the next flirt. We've got a little under 1:30 to play right now, but we've got 2 hardtails done. There's the green test on the next flirt. Brings us up to 98%.
Look away, Tobo. This is not for your eyes.
I mean, I don't really mind it considering the circumstances around the first one.
Well, we'll see if it matters in another 30 or 40 seconds. That could end up being bad.
This is very true. I think we just switch conversations and get this contact right now.
Yes, yeah, don't get cute anymore.
45 seconds. tarekmak is still just hanging out. This is not a 3 of 5 mission set. We still need one more after we pick up this flirt.
Here's the thing. If you're a huge suspect for the purloin, you're not going to finish anyway. Center statue, death, banana bread, death. So just go do it.
There's the last flirt coming off. It's 30 seconds to play. Don't let the double agent step away from us. Now
Gotta
in
get done.
conversation with him.
Yep, you can follow seduction targets anywhere, but you can't do it with double
No!
agents. That's
Steps
why.
out. We can follow. He just
Banana
went
bread.
right next door. There's the contact coming off with 15 seconds to play.
got this.
Do we get a shot? We do get a
Oh,
shot.
God.
And Pox finds the win in the set.
tarekmak says, don't make me a target, but it's too late. He gets dismembered. No good.
If he gets that contact off before the ambassador leaves, I think he wins that game.
I think so. The only thing I like about doing the banana bread second is that if you do a banana bread with about 20 seconds left, just as the beeping started, it looks like a desperation to induce shot. But he really actually got lucky that the double agent went to another conversation at all. You can chase your seduction target to any point in the ballroom and flirt with them. Windows, pads, anything. You can do that. But if the double agent leaves and doesn't get back in, you're screwed. So it was really, I think, an unnecessary risk there to wait as long as they did.
Yeah.
But let's go back and look at that sick bug.
Yeah.
Before we put this match to rest.
Yeah, check out that sniper view, the pillar with quite an assist.
That's glorious.
If we can go back and look at it, are you sure all the negatives haven't been destroyed?
Oh my gosh.
There's a lot of them.
There's so many.
There's so many.
Oh no. It's going to be one of those casts I can tell.
Yeah. No, don't worry. I will run out.
It's fine.
Next.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, that's the end
There
of
was
that
something else.
one.
Oh, yeah, the Purloin was the other kind of big moment of the match.
So really, really good win for Pox, who is, one of the top challengers, certainly. So Pox now, I believe, 7-2, tied for second in challenger behind just Armand Dowsey there. And speaking of which, that's one of the two losses that Pox has, is to Dowsey, just last week in week 8. The other one to C9 High, no slouch himself. So Pox has not lost to anyone other than other top players, basically, in challenge.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I wonder who they're playing next week, but the matches haven't been figured out yet. So.
But some of these are starting to become inevitable. We're getting to the point where people can sort of guess who they're going to play based on the style. Yeah, so some of them know already.
That's fair. All right, so that brings us to the end of the first match of the night.
I do want to say one thing between
yes.
matches. There's a super relevant, great little bit of SpyParty history. I won't take up too much of your time.
Oh, yeah, I know. I have to load some stuff up, so please tell
Perfect. So that tarekmak game where he was doing all those missions by himself, it actually reminds me of something that KCM posted a long time. We're talking May of 2013, kiddies. The Stone Age, absolute SpyParty, all old art. He posted a great video called The Perks of Being a Patient Player, which I'm going to post in chat as I'm saying this. It's a great video, and it's a little misdirect. I'm going to spoil it for you, so mute me if you don't want to hear this. It's called The Perks of Being a Patient Player, and he's playing a game like that where he goes into one conversation and just gets almost all his missions done without moving, right? And you're watching it, and you're sitting there thinking, oh, he's talking about the perks of being a patient player and that the party comes to him, right? And it's opportunism. But at the very end of the game, I think his opponent was Virafo, at the very end of the game, he gets a little impatient and interrupts his flirt talk to do the banana bread at the end of the game. And he briefly double talks, and Virafo shoots him. And that, it turns out, is what he was actually talking about the whole time. That Virafo just sat there and watched the party and watched, and then he caught a little double talk at the end and shot him. It's a great little video. I highly encourage everyone to check it out.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and this is the kind of stuff. So this kind of stuff's been going on forever, and people have been losing those games anyway forever. It ended the exact same way for KCM as it did for tarekmak.
All right, next